guys, it's Trina and it is halfway through the year, so today I wanted to check in with what my reading goals for this year were and see how I'm doing on those. I made a video back in January with 10 reading goals that I set for myself for 2016, and now that it's July basically, I just don't care about some of those goals anymore. So there are 2 goals out of the 10 that I have completed. The first goal that I've completed so far is that I wanted to reread at least 2 books. This was a very low number because last year I think I reread 1 book, or maybe even nope, I don't think I reread anything last year actually. So this year I wanted to change that, and I have definitely beat the goal of 2, and I think I've reread 7 so far this year. So I have really been enjoying rereads, and I'm glad that I made that a goal, and that's one that I can check off. The other goal I've completed is that I wanted to start at least 3 series that were released before 2014. So series that have had sequels or maybe are already finished and I'm just way behind on them. So I have done more than 3. I don't know how many it is. I think maybe it's 4 or 5. So this is a goal I also can check off. Then I have 3 of those 10 original goals that I still want to complete even though I haven't finished them yet. I wanted to read the book Eldest by Christopher Paolini, which is my husband's book, and this is one of his favorite series. It's been a few years since I read the first book. I wasn't really into it, but I did promise my husband I would continue so that we could chat about it, and it's been like 2 years and I never picked up the second book. So that is something I wanted to accomplish this year, and as of right now I actually am currently listening to the audiobook of this one. Another goal I had was to finish the Jessica Darling series. There are 5 books total in this series, and I had read 2 of them last year, and I needed to read the last 3 this year. So I have read 1 so far, and I've got to read the 4th and the 5th book before the end of the year, and I think I can do it. This is still a goal that I am very interested in because I do like this series. I had also set the goal for myself to read all of the unread books that are currently on my shelves at the beginning of this year. This does not include books that I've purchased in 2016. It only includes books that were on my shelves at the very beginning of this year, and there were a total of 7, although I miscounted those. I realized I actually had 8. So I've read 3 books that I owned and hadn't gotten to so far this year, and I have technically 5 more that I want to finish by December. Really quickly, the remaining books I have for that challenge are Never Fade and In the Afterlight by Alexandra Bracken, The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness, Goose Girl by Shannon Hale, and Life and Death by Stephanie Meyer. Next, I've got 2 goals from my original 10 goals that I just don't really know how I feel about anymore. So the first of those is that I wanted to read 1 new release every single month. So in January, read a January release. In February, read a book that was coming out in February, and so on. And the reason that I'm no longer that interested in this goal, like I do really want to stay on top of new releases. However, I have missed some of the months in this because, as I found out, sometimes the books I'm most excited about reading don't come out until the very last week of the month, and I can't get my hands on them and finish them in the month they release. I still want to be paying attention to new releases, but I think I'm just not going to care so much now if I'm reading them in the exact month that they released. The other goal I'm not really sure where I stand on is a goal about friend recommendations. So at the end of last year, I had asked real life friends and booktube friends to recommend a book that they would like me to read, and I was intending to draw them out of a jar each month and read it that month. And I definitely found out, like back in February, that drawing books in that way just does not work for me because I feel so forced to read it. I've read 2 out of the 10 books that my friends recommended. While I don't want to approach this in the same way that I started out and intended to approach it at the beginning of this year, I do still want to be conscious that I am reading books that my peers are recommending to me. So for the second half of the year, I just want to make more of an effort to read at least 3 more books that my friends have recommended to me. My last 3 goals on this list are goals that I know that I don't want to do, and I don't want to like adjust them in any way. I just want to be done with them and maybe concentrate on some new things. One of those is that I wanted to read at least 3 books that I was hesitant to read, or books that I felt dealt with challenging topics. Have I read 3 books this year that challenged me? Yes, absolutely. Do they count for this goal? I don't know, because I didn't pick them up with the purpose for saying I want some challenging content. So, you know, I really just don't even know how to keep track of this one, and it's something that if there's a book I know I may not like the content, I'm probably not going to want to force myself to read it. I also wanted to read at least 4 older books that had received 0 hype on BookTube, but the thing is I feel like every time I think of a book, oh, no one's talked about that, then I see someone talk about it on YouTube. Even if it's like one channel, I'm like, no, now they've got me hyped up for it and I don't want to do that. So I don't know how to track this goal anymore either. And another thing is that I do a really good job already at picking up backlist books, so why does it matter to me if it has current hype or if it had hype when it came out? I just don't care about this one anymore. And the last of my original 10 goals was that I wanted to read half of the 2015 book releases that I didn't get to in 2015. At the time I set this goal for myself, I thought I had 25 books that were released in 2015 that I wanted to get to, so I was like, oh, I can do half. That's almost like one per month, right? But sometime in February, I looked at my Goodreads shelves and I noticed after I watched so many people's like best of the year lists, there were so many more 2015 releases that I had marked as want to read. There were closer to like 40 now. I'm doing a pretty good job, again, at picking up books that released in 2015 or that released this year, so I feel like there's no reason to have a goal of having to meet a specific number or reading specific titles, so I just don't really want to give that much stock to this type of goal. But examining what my reading mood has been this year and things that I do want to focus on, I do want to add a couple of goals to this list. One thing that I noticed I am much more interested in now that we're halfway through the year are debut novels. So I do want to make more of an effort to stay on top of the 2016 debuts. So far this year I've read 3 and DNF'd 2 debuts. So for the rest of this year I would like to read at least 5 more, like read and finish, not DNF, but finish at least 5 more debut novels of 2016. I want to also catch up on at least 2 series that I'm behind on where a new one is coming out this year and I can't read it yet because I never read book 2. So I do want to catch up on 2 more series by the end of this year, and hopefully those are goals that I can do, and it's okay to not grade yourself so harshly. So I'm not gonna like be super disappointed in myself if I don't meet all of these goals by the end of the year. Let me know if you had to like kind of readjust or just take a look at your reading goals that you set for yourself this year, and let me know one thing you want to try to accomplish with books by the end of the year. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the comments. Bye!